Hello everyone. So today we are going to continue with some programs on list manipulation. Okay, after which this topic will be completed by us today. Okay, so the first example of the program is to find the largest number in a list. Okay, so there are two ways for doing this. First of all, we can use a built-in sort method. So sort method is a built-in method. A built-in method means it is a predefined method for sorting all the elements of a list. Okay, so how will you use the sort method is here? First of all, see, whenever we have to use a list, there are two ways of using a list. Okay, the first and the most simple way is to initialize the values in the program by the coder itself, by the developer itself. What is the disadvantage of this? That you can only specify a fixed value for your list elements in this program by using this method. Okay, like for example, here what we have done in this example, we have created a blank list by using this square bracket operator. Okay, here we are writing a is equal to blank list. This will do what? This will just create a blank list with the name which is being labeled by the name A. So here what we are going to do here, we are going to import the values in the list and then append them one by one. Okay, what we are doing, we are going to import the values by using the input function. Okay, and in the variable n, and then what will happen by using a loop here, by using a loop in the range, we are going to input by using the append method, we are going to append all these elements to the list one by one. Okay, so here what we are going to do, we are going to input all the elements one by one, and then using the append function we will append them to the list. The second and the most simple method is by initializing them itself in a program. Okay, like we are requiring the user to input the values. You can also assign predefined or fixed values into your list, but that would mean that you will not be able to change your values in the list as per the user's convenience. Okay, those values will be fixed. The user, even if he wants to change the values, he will not be able to change the values in that case. So here what we are doing here in A, we have first created a blank list, and then in N what we are inputting the number of elements in the list. Okay, that we are inputting in that n variable. So here it is an integer value, so that's what we are doing here. See, this input function is used for getting the input from the user, and that input is in the form of a string that all of you know. So what we are doing here, we will first convert that string input into the integer. How will it be converted? We have to convert that by using the int function. Okay, so like we are using int function. In int function we have passed this input as a argument or as a parameter. Okay, now what will be it will done here, this whatever value the user will input, that will be converted into the integer value, and then that will be saved in the variable which is named as n. Now again we have written here what for I in range I comma n plus 1. This means that why we have taken n plus 1, this all of you know that in the range the last value is always excluded, it is not included in the range. Okay, that is why if you want n elements in the range starting from 1, then what should be the ending point of the range? It should be n plus 1. Okay, so now for I in range n plus 1 comma n plus 1, it means that I will start from 1 and it will go till the nth value. Okay, what we are doing actually, why we have taken this range, because we want to input that much number of elements in our list. If you wanted whatever number of elements you wanted to insert, for that we have created this loop here. Okay, that is why we have taken the range from 1 comma n plus 1, because we want n elements in our list, and these n elements will be input in the loop body. So here in the loop body you can see what we are doing. Again we have taken a variable named as b, and we have taken the input for the elements of the list. Okay, so now in b the user will input all the elements one by one. Okay, by using the input function, and that int function will convert that string input into integer. Then again every time what will be done within the loop, see again a second statement within the loop is a dot append b. So here append is a function, we have studied this function in the last slide. Okay, what is append function doing? It will just whatever is the value of b which is being input by the user, that value of b will be appended to the list. So initially our list was a blank list. At the start of the program it was a blank list in a. Now a dot append b means what? Every time in the loop, whenever a person enters any value in b, that b's value will be appended in the list. It will be added to the list by using the append function here. So the loop will end when we all the total n elements have been entered. So after the loop ends, we will have n elements which will be appended to the list by using the append function here. Okay, so now at the end of the loop, when this loop will end, then we will have a list of n elements. Okay, now what is left now? For finding the largest number, we have to sort them also. So this is the simple method is for using by using the sort function. Okay, a dot sort means what? This sort is a predefined function. Just you can use it using the dot operator here. A dot sort will sort all the elements. Okay, and then see this sort function will by default will sort in the ascending order. Ascending order means from small to bigger. Okay, so where will the biggest element be? It will be at the last index. So last index will be if there are n elements in the list, then you know that the indexing will start from the 0 to n minus 1. Okay, so the last element will be at n minus 1 position. So that is why here we will print the largest element is a n minus 1. So I hope this program should be clear to all of you. Now secondly, we can use also also do this program by using the concept of functions. See what are functions? This function is a topic which is the first chapter of your new class 12 syllabus. So this will be discussed in great detail once we finish the revision chapter. The first chapter is based on Python revision. Once we complete this first chapter, we will go on to function only, and then we will discuss function in great detail. But here you can understand the simple syntax which is followed here. So see, we use the def keyword. Always we use the def keyword for defining the function body. Okay, def. Then we have written max num in list. So this max underscore num underscore in underscore list is the name of the function here. Okay, this function is being created for finding the maximum number in the list. And then within the parenthesis we have written list here. So this list is actually the parameter, the list which has been passed as a parameter to this function. Okay. Now here, whatever is the list which has been passed in this function, that list, that the zero the element of that list has been assigned to the max variable. So here max variable is used for finding the maximum value. So we are initializing this variable by the first element of the list, which is list 0 here. So list 0 is the first element of the list, and we are initializing max to this value. Okay, now what we will do here? Here we will use the variable a to iterate through the list. Iteration means what? A will take all the values, all the elements of the list one by one for the first element, the second element, and every time what it will do, whatever element a iterates through, it will be compared against the max value. Okay, within the what we have done inside the for loop, we have put the if condition here. What we have written here? If a is greater than max. So initially max was the first element. Okay, so what it will do, you starting from the first element, every element in the loop will be compared against max. Okay, so if a will be greater than max, the current element, whatever is the current element of the current value of a, current value of a means the current element through which it is iterating. So whatever is that current value, if it is greater than max, then what will happen? The if condition will be true in that case. So what we are doing, we are assigning max to be a. So now whatever value is found out to be greater than the initial value, which is the first value, which is max in the first case, then that value will be assigned as max value. So like for example, here we are starting with 1, 2, 3. See, for example, if you have a list like 1, 2, minus 8 and 0. So here what is there? 2 is the greatest element. Okay. So here what will the max in this case? Max will be the first value, which is 1. Okay. So now in the first iteration, this 1 will be compared against 1. So it is not greater than it is the condition will be false because it is actually equal to that. So then what will happen? It will be again this will go on to the next iteration. Again next iteration will be true. So 2 means what? It is greater than a. See, max will not be changed unless and until we find the value which is greater than max. So what is there? In the second iteration, max value will be again, it will be remaining at 1 only. And what is the value of a in this case? A's value is 2 in the second iteration. So this time what will happen? 2 is greater than 1, which means that a will be greater than max. So this if condition will be true. So when if condition is true, then what will happen? This max is equal to a statement will be executed. So now a will now be assigned to max, and now max will be our new max value will be a now. Okay, so now what value will be compared against a? This max value, this new max value, which is correct, which is a, which is 2 in this case. This will be now the new max value. So now the third iteration will be, it will now be compared against minus 8. So again you will see that minus 8 will be less than 2. So again this condition will be false. So again this loop will go to the next value, which is 0 in this case. So again you will see that 0 will again not be greater than a. Now a is holding value, sorry, max will be holding the value 2 in this case. So again a will not be greater than 2, a will not be greater than max in this case also. So now again this condition will be false. So at the end of the loop, now because all the values have been iterated, so this loop will end, and at the end of this loop, what is the value which is held by the max variable? It will be a itself. It will be 2 itself. Okay, why? Because all the subsequent values were not greater than a, were not greater than this value. So that is why this value has been chosen as the maximum value in this program. Again, so see, there is a return statement in this function. This return statement is used for returning the value by the function to the calling function. So there is a calling function. Calling function means what? The main function or that function with that driver code, also you can say it, that driver code which is calling the function, this max nominal list function. Okay, so what is this return statement doing? This return statement is just returning the value to the call function, which is the calling this function. Okay, like for example, this, what is this print statement doing here? This print statement is a part of the driver code. This print statement is not the part of this max nominal list function. Okay, this max nominal list function will end with the return statement. So the last line which is written on this slide is actually a part of the driver code which is used for calling this max nominal list function. Okay, so here what we are doing, using this print function, we are calling the max nominal list function and we are passing this list 1 to 1 comma 2 comma minus 8 and 0 in this max nominal list function. Okay, so after calculating the max value, it will by using the return statement, it will return the max value, and whatever max value is written by this function, this will be printed by the print statement by the last line which is shown in the slide here. Okay, now finding the mean of a list. The second program is find the mean of a list. See, the mean program is very simple. All of you know what is the mean. Mean means the total of a number of quantities divided by the number of quantities. That will give you the mean or the average of the any particular quantity. Now we want to find the mean of a list, means the mean of all the elements of a list. Okay, for that also we can define a function here. See, def average, that here average is the name of the function. LST is the list which is being passed as a parameter to this function. Okay, again, what is written within the function? A simple statement, a simple return statement is the part of the function here. What we are doing in the return statement, here we are returning a expression here. Returning expression means what? We have specified an expression in the return statement, and what will this return statement do? It will first evaluate this expression, and then whatever is the value after evaluation, that value will be returned by the average function here. Okay, here what is there in this expression here? Sum list divided by ln of list. Here sum list will do what? Sum will provide with the sum of the function, sum of all the elements of the function sum of all the elements of the list, and then divided by the ln list. Ln is a function which is used for doing for providing us with the number of elements of the list. So this is the formula of the average itself. Sum alias means what? Sum is the predefined function which will sum all the elements of the list, and ln is the predefined function which will tell you the number of elements in the list. Okay, so this expression will return you the average. Then this return statement will be evaluating this expression, and then whatever is the value after evaluation, that evaluated value will be returned by the return statement. Okay, now how will you use this average function? See the code, see the driver code here. Driver code means the code which is calling this function. Okay, there will be some code, there will be some program which will be calling this average function. Only then this average function will be executed. All these functions which we are defining by ourselves, all these user defined functions in Python are not executed unless and until there is some driver code, there is some main program which is calling this function. Okay, unless and until some driver code calls these functions will not be executed by itself. Okay, now the driver code here, what we are writing here, we are first initializing the list here. Okay, we are supplying some fixed values in the list here. For example, here we are supplying 8 values to the list here: 15, 9, 55, 41, 35, 20, 62 and 49. And then we are using the average function. We are passing this list as parameter to the average function, and then in the average on the left hand side is a variable to which we are assigning the value which is being returned by the average function. So here the second line of the code is used for calling the function here by assigning its value in the average variable. So the average variable on the left hand side is used for calling the average function, and then whatever value is returned by the average function will be returned, and it will be saved and assigned in the average function which is given on the left hand side of the assignment operator. Okay, and the LST is this list which is being passed as a parameter to this average function. Okay, now you understand how it is being done here. Now the last line is for printing the average of the list. So you can include a line for printing the average also. How you can do that? By using the print statement. First you specify the message here, average of the list equal to, then comma, and what you are going to print here, we are using the round function for printing the average to the 2 decimal places. See, round function used for rounding off any decimal value to the number of decimal places which is specified as the second argument. So here we have written round average comma 2. Average comma 2 means what? We want to round the average value, which is a decimal value, and comma 2 means what? We want to decimal round it off to the second decimal place. Okay, so in this way we can use the round function here for printing the average to the second two decimal places. Okay, you can see the output here. Average of the list is equal to 35.75. So there is no note. You should also note one thing also, that there is also a mean function also which is used. You don't need to define an average function, which is a user defined function for finding the average of a list, for finding the mean of a list. Here I wanted to explain it to you how you can use a user defined function in your program. That is why I have created a user defined average function here. Okay, but it is not necessary to create an average function by yourself also. There is a mean function which is a predefined function which can be used for calculating the average or mean of a list, which is a predefined function, and you can use it like we are using sort and other functions which are predefined function. In the similar manner, you can also use the mean function also, like we are using the alien function, sum function. In the similar manner, there is a mean function also which can be used for finding out the mean of all the elements of a list. Okay, so it is not necessary to use the average to create an average function by yourself also. You don't need to create a user defined function every time. Okay, for finding the average of a list. Now we come on to the third program. Okay, the third program on the list is for of your linear search. Okay, so this linear search means what? Linear search means to search for an element in a linear fashion. Linear fashion means what? In a linear sequence, starting from the first element up to the last element. You'll be searching for the element by matching the element against all the elements in a linear fashion, in a one by one fashion. Okay, starting from the first element, you will first match your value against the first element, then the second element, then the third element, and so on up to the last element, unless until this searching will continue unless up to the point till you find your required value. As soon as you find the required value, we will break our program, we will break our loop, and our program will end there only. Okay, so you can see how we are doing this program here. We have first created a list by using the name here, list of elements. Here this list of elements is the name of a list. Okay, where we have used these 6 values, 4, 2, 8, 9, 3, 7. Okay, and here in X variable we have input the value from the user which we want to search. Okay, here in the input, using input function, we have input the value, enter number to search. Here user will input the number here. Okay, which is an integer value. This int function will convert into integer and will save in the x variable. And then here found is a type of variable which is used for flagging the output. Flagging means what? We want to set it as a flag whether we have found the value or not. See, how will you know whether we have found the correct value or not? If you don't check it, if you don't stop our program at the point where we have found the correct value, then our program will continue unnecessarily. So we have to stop our program as soon as we find that we have found the correct value which has to be found in the list. Okay, that is why we use a found variable for flag purpose. Okay, we will initialize the value as false. Okay, now we start a loop here. See, this loop is for looping through the list of elements. Okay, for we have written here for I in range alien list of elements. So list of elements means what? Range list of elements means what? See, range, first of all, see, there are two functions which are being used here. Inside we have used the alien function. Alien function will give you what? It will give you the number of elements in the list. Okay, here in that case, what is there? There are 6 elements. So the alien will give you 6 here. So we have used for I in range 6. This means for I in range 6. I in range 6 means what? We want to have the range from 0 to 5. We want to have 6 elements in our range. I will range from 0 to 5, and there will be it will run 6 times from 0 to 5. Okay, now we are going for what we are going. We have written the if statement here inside the for loop. If list of element I is equal to x, so I is here for the indexing. The indexing will be from 0 to 5. Why from 0 to 5? Because we are having 6 elements in our list. Okay, the first element in the first iteration I will have the value 0, and the first element of the list will be denoted by list of element 0. So first of all, we will match that value against x. We will check for equality with x. If x, whether that first value is matching with x or not. If it will match, then what will happen? This if condition will be returned true in this case, and then what will happen? We will set the found value to be true in this case. Okay, and then what we will do? We will print the value also. We will print whatever at what position we have found the value. That position will be indicated by I itself. Okay, like for example, if in the first iteration itself we have found the value, then in that case, what is the value of I? The value of I in that case will be 0. So what we will write here? here we will print that percentage d found at percentage dth position. So here percentage d is the format specifier. What will be done? See, whatever value you want to print in the place of format specifier, that will be specified by putting that value after the string by using the percentage sign. Okay, you write the percentage sign after the double quotes, and then you will specify the number of the variable which you want to print and at the place of the format specifiers. Okay, first we are in the place of first format specifier we have to print x. So here we are writing x and comma I. Comma I means what? In the second percentage in the place of the second percentage d, the I will be printed here. So we will print here the whatever value is there. For example, if you want if the user has entered 4, let us take the example. The user has entered the value 4. The fourth match will be found in the first position itself. So what will be printed here? 4 found at 0th position. Okay, 4 found at 0th position. This will be the case if the user has entered 4, and so you will find the match value at in the first iteration itself. So when we have found the value in the first iteration itself, now we don't need to continue the loop further, because that will be a wastage of time and resources. Okay, but if you have found the value which you wanted to search, then what is the need of continuing the loop? That is why after that we will use the break statement here. So what does the break statement do? As soon as the value, as soon as the desired value is found in the loop, your loop will end, your loop will be terminated, and what will happen? Your control will come to the program, your control will come to the statement which is following the for loop, and that as soon as the break statement is encountered, your for loop will be terminated, and all the upcoming iterations will also be terminated without execution. Okay. So now, if found is equal, now this second if is in the case of this second if will be executed, it will be checked after the completion of the for loop. So after the completion of the for loop, you will check if found is found to be false. Why we have to check that? Because it is not necessary to find the value also. There may be a situation that user has entered any value which is not in the list. Like for example, in this case, and in this list we have 6 values. If we don't have the value 11, like for example, if the user enters the value 11, so this 11 will not be found in the list. So the loop will continue to execute for all the values. The loop will continue to execute, and this I will iterate through all the elements of the list. Okay, but what will happen? We will iterate through all the elements, but we will not be able to find a match for the value, because it is not existing in the list. So what will happen? This found will not be initialized to true in this case. Okay, why? Because this found will be initialized to true only if we found the value, if any of the value is matched against the value x. Okay, if the equality operator will return true, only in that case found will be set to the true value, and it will be indicated that the value has been found. Otherwise the found will be remain at false only. Okay, so if the value is not found, then at the end of the loop the value of the variable found will remain to be false only. It will not be initialized, it will not be set to true. So if we check the value to be if we check the value of found, and if found it to be false, if found is equal to false, will return true. Then what will happen? It means that the value which was intended, that the value which was input by the user for searching, that value was not found in the list. That is why what message we should print? We should print that percentage d is not in the list. Then in place of percentage d, we will print the value x. That is why we have written here percentage d is not in list. Percentage x means what? Whatever was the value of x, that is not in the list. This message will be printed by the program to the user. Okay, the user will know that whatever value he or she has entered, that value was not found in the list. So I hope you have understood the logic of this program. So these were some basic examples which all of you should be understanding. So all of you should know. I would suggest that all of you should revise all the programs which you have discussed in the previous class, from your previous year class 11 book. All of you must be having your class 11 book. Many examples of lists are given there. All of you should revise your programs from the book also. But as soon as I finish this first chapter, I will also give you some programming assignments to do also. So till in our next video, we will continue with the more data types like string, tuples, and dictionaries. So in this video, we will end here only up till now. So for now, it's thank you to all of you.